First of all, you're going to want to start by priming your face, your neck, your eyelids, and your under eyes. It might seem counterintuitive to spend so much time priming for makeup that is essentially going to look kind of horrendous, but the thing about primer is that it helps you to keep your makeup lasting all day or all night. So if you want this makeup to stay, using primer is probably a good idea. The next thing you're going to want to do is use your absolute lightest foundation to make yourself look really washed out and pale. Another option is to mix your foundation with white cream face makeup. However, since foundation tends to stay better than cream makeup, I do recommend at least mixing them. The next thing that I'm doing is I'm taking some red cream makeup that I got from a cheap Halloween kit from the dollar store, and I am applying it to the areas of my face that I would regularly contour. This is essentially to try to make my face look slimmer and like I'm more dead, as well as to use the red to make myself look a little bit sickly and infected. This next part of the makeup was a little bit of a fail. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to create shadow. You can use cream makeup for this, but I found that red lipstick was easier to apply, so I used that and then I blended it out. And then after that, to create more of a shadowy effect, I went in with the gray eyeshadow and applied that on top of it, trying to be kind of precise about where I was sticking it, and then I blended it. You don't want it to look too harsh and fake, but at the same time you want to be able to see it, so it's kind of, blending it till it looks good. I decided to blend it out pretty thoroughly and just make it look like I had discoloration on my neck, but I think that if you're a little bit more bony, it might look better on you. After that, I want to really create a sunken in eye effect, so I'm just taking a ton of black eyeshadow and going in and covering both my eyelids and my under eyes. I would recommend trying not to go too far out with the black eyeshadow. I went a little bit too far down with one of my eyes and it worked out, but I would have liked it better if I had stuck to my under eye area. So just be careful and apply a little bit at a time and then continue to build it up. I want to make my flesh look a little bit more bruised up, so I'm just kind of going in haphazardly with brushes and eyeshadows and paints and sponges and applying things wherever I feel like it. One of my favorite tools for this look was this kind of almost wiry, spongy sort of applicator that I got with my cheap makeup kit. This was really nice for applying things with a kind of uneven consistency, but it was also so good for being able to just scrape off when I use too much cream makeup or too much eyeshadow. Now what I'm doing is I'm going over the contour that I did with the red cream makeup, and I'm just using gray eyeshadow. I recommend being a little bit more careful than I was. I made my face muddier than I meant to make it, but that's okay. Again, this makeup is all about being messy. And now I'm taking my e.l.f. kabuki brush and blending a little bit more. Since I realized that how I was applying the gray eyeshadow before was too messy, now I'm just using a smaller brush to apply it precisely on my cheekbones and then blending it out rather than gobbing a bunch of it on there at once. Now for the fun part, we are going to start working on the giant wounds. The main component of the wounds is going to just be a tissue. I have 2-ply tissues, so I'm just pulling the plies apart, and then I'm going to start ripping them so they have more jagged edges that looks like ripped flesh. People usually use liquid latex, but I didn't have any on hand, so I'm going to go ahead and use eyelash glue. I'm going to go in with a few pieces of tissue and cover that up. The eyelash glue was so thick that I put a few pieces of tissue on top of it. And now I'm going in and I'm doing one on my neck as well. This one I'm making a little bit bigger. I thought that it might help the tissue to stay on my face a little bit better if I sprayed it with setting spray. After I sprayed the setting spray, it became a soggy mess, so I don't recommend using this method. While I waited for the wounds to dry, I went over my lips with a concealer. The purpose of this step was to make myself look even more washed out and sickly and dead. I'm bringing a little bit of color back into my lips by applying a little bit of the red cream face paint just onto the very inside of my lips. I wanted to make them look a little bit almost bruised, so I tried adding some gray face paint, but it really didn't give me the effects that I wanted, and so I just went in with some black lipstick. If you have black face paint, you could also use that. I'm going around the edges of the wound with concealer just to try to make it blend in with my skin a little bit more. The very middle of the wound is where the blood will kind of be pouring out of and where the open wound will be. So I'm going in there with just kind of some red paint, a little bit of, gray paint. Then I'm also taking a little bit of my gray eyeshadow and trying to blend that around to make the area look kind of bruised. Honestly, this process was largely just me playing it by ear and using my red face paint, my gray face paint, my gray eyeshadow, and all that stuff, and just playing around with it until it looked like something that I liked. The thing that will kind of bring this whole look together is definitely the fake blood. It honestly just kind of looked like a hunk of tissues just glued to my face until I added the fake blood. My general tactic for applying the fake blood was that I just applied it to the center of the wound and kind of allowed it to drip out naturally. Then I'm going to go ahead and repeat that whole process on my neck wound as well. The only way to be a zombie is to have super messy hair. Going in with dry shampoo to make my hair more fluffy, and then I'm just going to take a hairbrush and tease it up. And this is the completed look. Please leave a thumbs up on this video if you enjoyed it, and leave a comment to let me know what you plan on being for Halloween. If you haven't done so already, also please subscribe to my channel and join the Sunshine Squad. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time.